Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Well, you just witnessed some live history in the making. There is nothing more exciting than a live first-time demonstration out on the tightrope on the edge, but it worked. It worked beautifully. I just want to thank our wonderful 311 operator who got everything exactly right. I knew the answer to the question in advance, so we were testing the 311 accuracy, and she came through with flying colors. So that was the first official phone call from one of our state-of-the-art Link NYC kiosks. It's an exciting moment for New Yorkers because it means a lot more access to things they care about deeply and a lot more ability to access information and to make life easier and more convenient in this city. We'll eventually build and activate at least 7,500 kiosks just like this all over the 5 boroughs, the network we are calling Link NYC. And Link NYC will be the Wi-Fi network New York City deserves. It will be the biggest and fastest network in the world and completely free of charge. And one thing I know about my fellow New Yorkers, they like things that are completely free of charge. So this is going to be very popular. With this effort, we're moving much closer to becoming the most innovative, most accessible, most tech-friendly city anywhere in the nation and anywhere in the world. I want to thank people who have led the way on this effort. You're going to hear from Gail Brewer in a moment. You're going to hear from one of the people who helped make this specific kiosk work and this whole effort work through their company. But I want you to first know that so much work went into this from the city government side. I want to thank my counsel, Maya Wiley, who's led the way on all our efforts to create a truly accessible and inclusive city through technology. I want to thank our DUIC Commissioner, Ann Roast, who's been extraordinary at using all the capacity of government to make sure that new opportunities like this are available for the people of our city. Our Chief Technology Officer, Minerva Tantoko, who has worked with the whole tech sector to bring us closer to the tech sector and to innovate together. And someone who's been working with me all the way back to when I was public advocate, and now he is the Director of Innovation at the Mayor's Office, Jeff Merritt. I want to thank you for having sparked so much of this thinking early on in all we've been doing. Also want to welcome and thank Jennifer Falk of the Union Square Bid. Now, it's 2016. In 2016, internet access is not a luxury. It's not something optional. It's something everybody needs. And if we're going to have fairness, we have to make sure that there is equality of access to the internet. The web is where our kids do the research they need to do for school. It's where parents look for jobs. It's where people access services and benefits that they deserve. It's more important than ever. But too many New Yorkers do not have access to the internet. That is the cold reality. It is more necessary than ever, and still too many New Yorkers don't have access, and that is largely on the basis of economics. So it means for so many people they're missing out on information and opportunity they need. That's where our goal is affordable and reliable high-speed broadband for every New Yorker by 2025. And this is a big step forward in that effort today. It'll take a lot of other innovations, but Link NYC is an example of what we can do. We put our heads together, we create, we take something that was in the past that now needs to be converted to something very different to serve our future. Together with City Bridge, which has done extraordinary work, and we want to thank them for the partnership, we've developed these kiosks, and we're taking our city's antiquated payphones and transforming them into ultra-fast communications hubs. And unlike a payphone, there's no pay involved. You won't need to insert a quarter. You won't need to insert any kind of money whatsoever because Link NYC is completely free. And installing these 7,500 kiosks won't cost the taxpayer a dime. This is good all around. Not only will the service be free, but the whole effort to build this out won't cost the taxpayer a dime. In fact, Link NYC will generate at least $500 million in revenue for the city over the next 12 years through advertising. So let's get to a key question. We've already heard it from people when they've heard of this new extraordinary opportunity. They ask the question because they're good New Yorkers. They say, how fast is ultra fast? When we say ultra fast Wi-Fi, what does that mean? And there is no one on the earth more concerned about time than an average New Yorker. So with Link NYC, New Yorkers will be able to access free Wi-Fi at speeds of up to 1 gigabyte per second. That's 100 times faster than most public hotspots around the country. If you need to find the nearest subway stop, but you're all out of data, Link NYC has your back. If you're a visitor from overseas who didn't spring for international roaming charges and needs directions to the Whitney, Link NYC has your back. If you're running late to pick up your child and your phone just died, Link NYC has your back. And you can not only make a free call to let folks know you're coming to pick up your child, you can also charge your phone right here at this kiosk. By the end of July, we'll have over 500 kiosks in neighborhoods across the 5 boroughs from the South Bronx to St. George and Staten Island. And it's not just about making it easier for New Yorkers to check the news, check the weather, check in on social media. It is also about leveling the playing field, providing internet access across the board. This tool that defines the 21st century and defines what opportunity will be must be available to all, and this is one of the ways we're going to make it more possible for all New Yorkers to be connected. Quickly in Spanish, hoy activamos Link NYC, la red municipal gratuita más grande y rápida de Internet inalámbrico en el mundo. Con Link NYC, los neoyorquinos podrán llamar gratis a todo el país, recargar sus teléfonos y navegar por Internet. En los próximos años vamos a construir miles de kioscos de Link NYC en toda la ciudad para que cada neoyorquino pueda conectarse con el mundo. With that, I want to welcome the president of media at Intersection, which is the firm that we are so appreciative has been our partner in this effort, Scott Goldsmith. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for those kind words and for the opportunity to bring this groundbreaking project to the City of New York. As the Mayor said, I'm Scott Goldsmith. I'm the president of media at Intersection, and I'm the chief operating officer of CityBridge, which is the consortium that's partnering with the City of New York to create Link NYC. I'm joined here today by other members of the CityBridge Consortium, Kiva Allgood from Qualcomm and Brad Gleason from Civic Smartscapes, as well as hundreds of other people who have made this project possible. Our team has worked tirelessly to bring Link NYC to the streets as quickly as possible, and it has been really an exciting collaboration working together with the Mayor's Office, with Do It, all our partners, and of course our advertisers that make this service completely free for all New Yorkers and visitors to use, but also allows us to maintain these kiosks and the system over the course of the coming years. As the Mayor said, this system is delivered completely at no cost to the City of New York or to taxpayers, and it will generate at least $500 million in new revenue to the city over the next 12 years. So I grew up in New York City, and as a native New Yorker, I've always loved our city's street life. It is really a unique and vibrant element of New York, and it's where we interact with one another and with the city. And it's one of the things that make this city great. Link NYC reimagines an iconic but outdated payphone infrastructure, provides amazing innovative services for free, and really brings us all closer together as a community. This project was designed by New Yorkers for New Yorkers. We are really proud to be part of Link New York City because it's going to be a tremendous benefit to anyone on our streets. Whether you're trying to download the latest TV show before you hop on the subway, want to save your money on your mobile data plan, need to charge your phone very quickly, make a free phone call thanks to Vonage, need help in an emergency, want to search for jobs, apartments, or access city services, or you just want to be outside and be online. Hopefully it'll be a little warmer than today. So if you ever need to do any of those things, Link NYC is for you and for all 8.5 million of the other New Yorkers and more than 56 million visitors who commute, stroll, shop, and explore our streets on a daily basis. Today we're standing on 3rd Avenue, but as the Mayor said, we will be in all 5 boroughs by this summer. We're bringing no less than 7,500 links across the city over the next several years, and we're creating the largest, fastest, free public Wi-Fi network in the world, and we're really proud of that. We are proud to say it's happening here first, in our hometown, the greatest city in the world. Thanks very much.
Thank you. So I can say with no fear of contradiction, I don't know any public servant who's been more focused on the need to innovate when it comes to technology, the role of technology in government, the way we have to use technology to create opportunity. No one has been farther ahead of the curve than Gail Brewer. And I received, like most other elected officials, many lectures from her over the years about the fact that we had to see what needed to be done for the world we're living in now, and we had to change our approach. So I hope it's gratifying to Gail that she is standing here today seeing the kind of progress happening that for a long time she's been calling for, and I thank her for having led the way. The Manhattan Borough President, Gail Brewer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And both of us were on the Technology Committee of the City Council in 2002. And to see this today is very, very exciting. I want to thank all the people whom the mayor mentioned. I want to add Nick Spordone, who's with Do It, who has also contributed greatly to making this happen today. And I want to thank the folks from City Bridge, because you also saved, thanks to Alan Flax and others, those funny old phone booths on 101st Street in my neighborhood. And I want to thank you. That was a big deal. That was my crazy idea. So today's a great day for New York City's digital future. With the official launch of Link NYC, we are entering a new era in connectivity with the opening of, as we all know, of this fast, free, secure Wi-Fi network. I will say, when I speak at high schools and speak to young people, you try to get them interested in curriculum, interested in outside activities, sports, history, math, STEM. Guess what they want? Free Wi-Fi. Every hand in the class goes up when you say, what's your number one agenda item? And they all say free Wi-Fi. So you're doing a lot, Mr. Mayor, for the city of New York and for young people. I'm also very proud, yes, as Scott indicated, we're cutting this ribbon here at Union Square, but I'm also proud of the fact that as a city, the first wave of Link NYC will also be located in parts of Upper Manhattan and the other boroughs, which we know broadband is extremely needed, and particularly when it's fast. We all know that broadband internet is a key public utility for the digital age. New Yorkers need internet. They need it for work, they need it for school, they need it for job hunting, and they need it for job creating, which these links will help with. They're an economic engine to learn code and programming and develop the software and the hardware products of the future. It's really hard to overstate how revolutionary we hope delivering free, accessible Wi-Fi to New York City's neighborhoods will be. I really do thank the mayor and his administration for working so hard with all of us and with the borough presidents. We're a very cantankerous group to improve Link NYC plan. They're all laughing. By incorporating community input on where access points like these wonderful stations should go. So as we continue building out Link NYC, we must work with local community partners, I know we will, to ensure the success of the program and design infrastructure and programming around this fantastic network. Congratulations to everyone.
Thank you very much, Gail. All right, let's take questions about Link NYC, then we'll take other questions. Courtney. Louder, everyone speak loud.
Is this the only one in the entire city up and running right now?
Ann, or who wants to do it? You want. And introduce yourself. Hold on. Okay, let's do the first. Hold on, we lost part. Let's do the first one first. Is this the only one up and running in New York City? Introduce yourself first.
I'm Colin O'Donnell, Chief Innovation Officer at Intersection. And so, no, we've Colin O'Donnell, and we're running links all the way up 3rd Avenue. We actually have a number in this neighborhood that are all being turned on. The tablet's being turned on today. We've been testing the Wi-Fi for a couple of weeks. Over a dozen right now. Yep. Over a dozen that are active and on right now.
In this immediate neighborhood?
Yep, and we're all the way up going into the 40s already.
Okay, along 3rd Avenue.
Correct.
Okay, great. What was your second question? wants to speak to that.
No, actually, it's very important to us that this network is advertising free. So when you get on the network, you may, oftentimes when you're in an airport, you have to watch a 30-second commercial. There's none of that. It is completely free of advertising the network. The only advertising that is generated on the displays is on the two 55-inch displays.
It's requiring what?
Sure.
Just speak up loud.
Yep, we asked for your email address so that we can communicate with you if there's changes in policy, if we need to contact you in any way. So privacy is very important to us. We work with the mayor's office to create what we think is the most user-centric privacy policy of any public Wi-Fi network, and we'll never share your email address or share any personally identifiable information with any third party, period. In case we need to contact you, if there's updates to the policy, if there's any changes at all. So.
Let me ask, hold on. We're still on the previous question. We'll come to you. No, we're still on it. Hold on.
So when the city was Maya Wiley, I'm counsel to the mayor, and when the city was negotiating this franchise, we paid a lot of attention to ensuring that there would be a seamless system. So when you log on at one link and then eventually be able to cross the city and go to other links, you're going to be able to get right back on the network. But if there's a change to the policy, like the privacy policy, which we spent a lot of time negotiating, it's important for them to be able to communicate a change in the privacy policy for the user. The city does not own the data. The City Bridge actually owns the data. The city will only have anonymized data. We will not have any personally identifiable information on anyone using the system. Great, it's not city-owned data, so you can't foil City Bridge unless you change laws in Albany.
Jillian.
Yep. So, as I said earlier, we will not share any personally identifiable information. That means your name, email address, any identifiable information about you. We do recognize there's an opportunity to create aggregate anonymous data that we can use to create better policies, better understand broadband utilization across the city, and that aggregate anonymous data we will share with the city to be shared through the City Open Data Platform. And
Emily. Who wants to speak to that?
Our franchise agreement with the city requires that we install 500 in the first franchise year. So by mid-July, there'll be at least 500. We'd like to do more, though.
And there'll be all 5 boroughs in the first
All
500?
5 boroughs in the first 500, yes.
Okay.
Well, they were designed to be rugged, and they were built to be rugged, and intersection operates a lot of infrastructure on the streets, and one of the most important things is that we have a team of folks who are out almost every day, seeing them, keeping them clean. We find that when things are useful and they're kept beautiful and they're designed beautifully, people leave them alone.
Talk about the maintenance schedule.
So the maintenance schedule, this was the old franchise for the payphones required us to visit the phones once a month. This franchise requires that we visit it twice a week. And so we are at these locations at least twice per week, cleaning them, making sure they're well maintained, making sure they work properly. And we have people on call 24 hours a day to ensure that if there's an issue, they're dispatched quickly to make sure that it works properly.
Or what limitations?
We advise you to use common internet hygiene practices to always ensure that you're connecting to an SSL connection when you're doing anything that requires a level of privacy. Most websites and services like banks will always use SSL. We do offer a encrypted connection, which is incredibly secure. So the latest generation of phones, example iOS 7 and up, will be able to use this encrypted network, and that's encrypted from your device out to the internet, offering an incredibly strong level of encryption for your connection. We actually haven't had any feedback to that extent. I think it's a great service we're providing, and we think that it's a pretty simple request.
Yeah, and I would just add to that. This is a choice for people. They want to take advantage. Obviously, again, there's the internet piece of it, but there's also the opportunity to charge phones. There's the opportunity to make phone calls. If someone doesn't feel comfortable giving their address, that's obviously their choice. But this is an option for people, and I think a lot of folks are going to take advantage of it. I'll start, and I'd like Maya Wiley to join in. Look, this is part of a bigger effort to maximize broadband access. It takes on many different forms, what we're doing with libraries, what we're doing in public housing. Maya can speak to some of the details, but we have to fire on a lot of cylinders if we're really going to address the profound digital divide that exists today. And because education determines economic destiny, well, to get the kind of education you deserve, you have to have internet access, because economic opportunity literally means finding job listings and finding where tangible opportunity is. You need the internet for that. There really isn't an option that works compared to internet at this point. So this is another way to put tools into people's hands who can't afford those tools otherwise.
That's absolutely right. I think it's really important that we all recognize that far too many low-income New Yorkers are relying on their smartphones to get online. And in fact, if you're black, that's probably 3/4 of the black community nationally, and if you're Latino, that's about 2/3. What that means is if you cannot have to pay, if you can reduce your pay as you go by getting online free around the city, that's actually going to put more money back in your pocket. But I would also add that this is the first city franchise where we have a guaranteed revenue stream. What that has enabled us to do is do things like the mayor committed to 21,000 public housing residents getting free broadband at home. This franchise is what is paying essentially for some of that in-home use. I would also add that the other thing this franchise has done is it's already created 155 jobs. The manufacturing, a lot of it is staying local. We've already seen $32 million just in payroll increase as a result of this franchise, and $72 million in economic activity. All of that is part of reducing income inequality.
Don't have internet access. Don't have an email account. Okay, so we'll see if any of you have that. Go ahead, what's the second one?
Yeah.
It seems like part of the business plan is to bundle and resell anonymized data. How big a part of the business plan is that?
Okay, so who's got the first answer? Let's do these in order.
So for folks who have smartphones, they probably have an email address. And what we have seen is a vast increase nationally in the number of low-income people who are using smartphones. So we think this is pretty much a leveler of the playing field on that score.
Okay, on the second question.
The bundling and sale of anonymized data actually doesn't factor into the business plan. It's actually where we think that there's a whole host of innovation that can come from sharing anonymized aggregate data. So that's why we're interested in seeing what we can deliver to the city that can help people, correlate bandwidth utilization in neighborhoods.
I'll start and I'll let CityBridge speak for themselves. Look, there's been a great deal of cooperation in planning this, and obviously we anticipated that we had to be ready for any issues involving safety. So I think there's been a great spirit of cooperation, and there would be a process, as always, for any public safety agency to get such information. But we're ready to follow through with that. Why don't you speak too, either one of you?
I think first of all, too, there's a 911 button on the front of every link, so you can call 911 really easily if there is an emergency. But in the event that there's some crime committed, we'll obviously comply with any legitimate law request.
Law enforcement.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, do you have you're collecting aggregate anonymized data, right, about who's making the calls, but would you be able to get to the actual, like, IP address of the
Actually,
computer and hand that over to law enforcement?
so we're actually there's phone calls are separate than the Wi-Fi network. We're actually not
What I'd say is that from a technical standpoint, if we are asked by the police department and a subpoena is issued, we will give up the information. Okay, we're not going to challenge the New York City Police Department if they ask us for information that is we're legally required to give to them. That's the answer.
We do have a camera attached to the tablet. It's only user activated, and it's able to be used for video calls and things like that in the future. I just remind everybody that we're in a beta right now. We've just launched. We're going to be rolling out new features over time. We think there's kind of great opportunities for new applications that utilize that.
Sorry, but if someone used a phone to call to do something illegal, like to, order drugs or something like that, but waiting, would you be able to capture that person's face so I can
That's a yes.
Yeah. So we do have a number of sensors in here. So we have vibration detectors. We have vandalism, sensors that we can use to detect vandalism. We also have security cameras that we can use in case of an emergency. And so we'll use those tools available to keep this safe and keep the structure working.
Yes, Ann Roast from Do It. So this franchise is the first one where we've actually included resiliency requirements. And so the franchisee had to do things like have a battery backup that's good for at least 24 hours, make sure that electronics in the battery are at a level where they couldn't be affected by flood. And they've actually done some additional testing around wind resistance, seismic activity, and I believe even automobile impact. So there's been some great testing as far as resiliency and these. How about hacking? So on the security side, this is, I'm going to say, the most secure public Wi-Fi network. They've got the latest technology to prevent hacking. They've done things like preventing peer-to-peer connection, which is when one computer can see another computer on the network. They're monitoring 7x24, the back-end system. So it's it's an extremely secure network.
Go ahead. No. This is owned by a private firm under franchise with the city, and it is part of what's built into what they provide here. But as was said, in the event a crime is committed, the NYPD requests the specific information, they'll certainly cooperate.
Clarifying question. The amount that will be rolled out this summer, and then how long will it take for all of them to be rolled
The 7,500 or more, what's the latest? Who wants to? Maya?
7.5 years for the entire deployment. About 7.5 to 8 years for the entire deployment of 7,500. 4,000 in the first 4 years.
4,000 in the first 4 years. So that means 16, 17, 18, 19. So 4,000 by the end of 2019. I did my math there. Go ahead.
Does the police department also have to subpoena for images taken off the camera from these kiosks?
Again, I think any specific information, there's an appropriate legal process for the NYPD to get that information, and the company's made very clear they'll cooperate. Anything else on this topic? Yes?
Mayor, you're kind of known for using a flip phone. Do you have technology that you carry with you, like on this image that you would be able to?
I want to just show you that I'm going to give you the visual image. This is the past. This is the past. This is the future. Okay, we're making the transition before your very eyes from the past to the future. Okay, this is the moment. We've crossed over. That phone is strong and resilient. No way. I love my flip phone. What was the question?
You use technology
You see me made that 311 call, didn't you?
Do you carry any like tablets? How familiar is this whole concept?
Just BlackBerry and my old reliable flip phone, but everyone else in my family would benefit a lot from it. All right, anything else on this topic? Yes. Will not be, right. The value of? But you mean if we had to pay for it, how much would it have cost? That's a good question. So what do we save the taxpayers? Let's make this a positive.
You want to know?
How much did we save the taxpayers, Scott?
The initial deployment of all the units is $300 million. And then operating it going forward is I can't put a number on that, but it's our nickel and we're doing it for the city.
So we saved the taxpayers $300 million to begin and then a lot more to operate it. On this topic, last call, going once, going twice, off topic, off topic.
There was just a news conference on the City Hall, the Families for Excellent Schools. They say there's a 23% increase in school violence within the school halls, and that you, the mayor, are misleading the public because in your State of the City address, you said violence in the schools is on the decline.
I have learned long ago not to pay too much attention to statistics from that organization that clearly has a bone to pick. We have the official statistics for the school system. Under my predecessor and continuing under us, crime in the schools has gone down. We're very proud of that fact. We're going to continue to drive crime down. And at the same time, we've driven down suspensions, many of which were given out inappropriately in the past and were actually counterproductive. So as we talk about with the overall situation, we ended unfair practices like the unconstitutional use of stop and frisk while simultaneously driving down crime on our streets. In the schools, we have reduced crime overall. We've reduced violent incidents overall while reducing the inappropriate use of suspension. Those are the facts. We'll happily share them with you. Again, I've stated the facts. We'll happily share them with you.
Jamie Cartena is a slashing victim, and she says that she's worried every day that this guy who is a homeless, mentally ill person will get back out and will reoffend or slash someone else or even slash her. What would you say to the victims of the slashings that we see every day on the news with the bandages?
Sure. Look, we're going to do everything we can, and the NYPD is very adamant about this, to keep this city safe. So remember, because of the work of the NYPD, this city continues to get safer. Less violence, less crime in this city. But when it comes to anyone who has a mental health problem that we know about and also a history of violence, we are tracking those individuals and making sure they get either mental health treatment or they are in a mental health facility or they are incarcerated. Those are the three outcomes. And in the past, that was not done. Too many people had a mental health problem that was documented and a violence problem that was documented. Somehow were left on the streets without either treatment or law enforcement follow-up. We're ending that reality, and it's going to be a much more rigorous approach going forward in close cooperation with NYPD.
Are you saying that they're not getting back out on the streets?
Again, we are going to take in every single case a follow-up plan for each person to make sure they either are getting the mental health treatment they need or they're in the criminal justice system. I don't know about the audit. You'll have to tell me which one you're referring to. I haven't seen the audit. I just can't respond to it. That's nice. I haven't seen the audit. Next question. Mm-hmm. We talk a lot. We totally agree that it is a good concept. But we have to address this issue right now. So we need to get real about this. Right now, we've got thousands of inmates on Rikers Island, and we need to fix the problem as it is right now. We inherited an absolute mess. The status quo on Rikers Island is totally unacceptable. But while we work on long-term solutions, and we're going to work very actively with Judge Lippman, who I think very highly of, right now we have a thing that has to be addressed, which is why we ended punitive segregation for adolescents. We are ending it now for young adults. That is why we are recruiting and screening and training corrections officers differently. That's why we have new units at Rikers where crime and violence has been driven down profoundly. We're changing the entire culture of the place. and we're being much tougher on any wrongdoers. We're screening employees, we're screening visitors in a whole different way to stop contraband, to stop weapons from coming in. And as you've seen, Department of Investigation has been a very regular presence on Rikers, dealing with anyone who breaks the law there. So this is what we have to do right now. It's great to talk about the things that we hope to do in the future, but right now we have to fix the situation there. What's that? I said it very clearly. She and I are in total agreement. We want to focus on a lot of options, but the BQX is a city program. This is something the city of New York will do because we have an opportunity, because of the potential revenue that can be created, to do something there that is vitally necessary. Certainly has not been proposed by the MTA, something we can do for ourselves and serve hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. Between the folks who live there and the folks who work there, 700,000 people, and I think many tens of thousands more in the future. But at the same time, we have said to the MTA, there's areas that we think they need to focus on going forward, and Utica Avenue is one of those examples.
A few members of your Clergy Advisory Council have come out today saying that they oppose the affordable housing plan, saying that distributed enough will go into folks with the housing system, long and hard on. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a free country. People are going to have their viewpoints, but we see a lot of support for our affordable housing plan. AARP is strongly supporting us. A lot of labor unions are strongly supporting us. A lot of elected officials are strongly supporting us, including one standing right here. Okay, partly, I'll take it. But the fact is, the conversations with the city council are going very well. They've said they're concerned on a couple items. They want to see if we can make some changes. We're very open to that. But I am confident that this is the right way to create a lot more affordable housing for the people of New York City. Two more questions, yes. Absolutely. First of all, I commend President Obama for restoring diplomatic relations and for making the bold decision to go to Cuba. I think that's absolutely important to end decades and decades of an irrational United States policy against Cuba. The embargo has to end too. The travel restrictions have to end. We just have to normalize the situation overall, because these are a set of pointless policies, and they're rooted in a Cold War dynamic that doesn't exist, and they didn't make sense back then anyway. So I think the president's doing something very, very important. And yes, of course it'll be good for New York City because we're one of the great international cities. So anytime there are new markets opened up to us, anytime there's an opportunity for our businesses to go and participate someplace they couldn't before, that's very good. And we have a strong tie to Cuba, a big Cuban-American population in and around New York City. That certainly, and I'm sure many people want to have a closer connection to their homeland. So I think it's a great step forward. Yes, sir. We're going to have the bill signing tomorrow, and as I've said, what the commission, the Quadrennial Commission, proposed was some of the most profound reforms in terms of the city council that we've seen in decades. Finally clarifying that there cannot be substantial outside employment any longer, clarifying that the council members will do a full-time role, ending the practice of favoritism through the Lulus, the special compensation given to some members. A lot of us heard people trying to achieve these reforms for years and years. This is the first time these reforms are actually being achieved. So I think the commission laid out a very good roadmap, and the council agreed to make those changes and to really limit their own opportunities going forward, and I think that's smart. So we'll have that bill signed tomorrow. I look forward to signing